Johnny, raised by his grandmother. Joanne, by her dad and stepmom. It is the weekend. Although they are cousins, they are also best friends. Grandmother, 67 years young, loves all children, and she's the go-to person if you need someone to talk to. If you're young or old. Grandma D is easy to talk to, but you must always show respect. The cousins just started their journey heading to school. The walk is about 5 short blocks, the usual routine.
Yeah, cuz. I just hit level 10 on Super Mario. I just have one more level before I can get the highest score.
Man, I'm telling you, like I told you a million times before, it is I, the queen, that is going to beat that game before you. My fam, my friend, my faithful subject.
Oh, you got jokes, huh?
I speaks the truth. Anyway, come next weekend, it is on, my brother.
That's right. You're staying the whole weekend, and we are from school that Monday.
Word.
No doubt, it's on. Shoot, we got Friday to go ahead and knock out that homework, then we start a marathon right after breakfast.
As my uncle used to say from the old back in the day show, The Honeymooners, how sweet it is.
Yeah, what's the... Oh right, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is celebrated next Monday. Anyways, you coming over now? You know my grandma already got dinner ready for the eating.
No doubt, that's my grandma too, and I love me some Grandma D. I like to call her Nana, and I think she likes that better. Just saying, she's pretty cool for an old lady, and you better not tell her I said she was old. And I know she probably broke a lot of hearts back in her day.
You know when we get in, with Martin Luther King's birthday coming up and all, you know Grandma's gonna think that she's back in the classroom.
Right, that's Nana. Then she starts talking like she did when she was a school teacher and all of that.
They both chuckle because they're only speaking the truth about Grandma D. To get within a block and a half to their destination, Grandma's house.
It's all good though. We gotta love our Nana. As a matter of fact, when did she teach?
To tell you the truth, cuz, I don't even know. I know she met Papa when she was like a little girl. She loves to tell that story. But I don't know how old she is.
You think she was around or active when Martin Luther King Jr. was doing his thing?
I guess. I don't know. Don't get me in line.
Well, we could just ask her when we get there.
True, I guess we could.
The cousins, both about 17 years old, get to the front yard of Grandma's. They walk around the side and enter the family room to where Grandma is standing in the kitchen. She has just taken out a batch of cookies for her husband.
Well, hello there, youngsters. What y'all got planned this weekend? I mean, like starting now.
Grandma gives Johnny her usual glare over her glasses as to say, you know what you need to do, immediately. Johnny quickly goes over and gives her a light kiss on the cheek.
And I did not forget about getting the recyclables out front before morning. I'm on top of it, Grandma.
They all smile. Joanne then goes over and gives Grandma a light hug while doing so says,
Sorry, Nana. I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
You all right, Joanne, baby?
Nana, can I ask you a question?
You just did now. Did you?
Did you know Martin Luther King Jr.? I mean, did you participate with some of the stuff back then?
Indeed, I did. I was, as a matter of fact, I met your granddaddy when we were in college together. I was back in 1965.
Grandma seems to wander off into thought, and she starts to remember the days when she stood for equality and protested against injustice. She was a former freedom rider and made a pledge to herself when she was in her 20s that she would make sure that all children in her family learn of and understand what the civil rights movement meant to her. As nothing else, Grandma believes one can share his or her knowledge, wisdom, and experiences with the youth. She even catches herself from wandering off in her head for too long.
What do you youngsters have planned for this weekend anyway?
Well, Joanne over here was just challenging me on a round of Super Mario. We might warm up on a few rounds this weekend, but next weekend, it is on. We have a little competition going on.
Yes, ma'am. Since we're all for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we have all of Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to meet a marathon for me to be old cuz over here.
Johnny looks at Joanne like she's delusional if she thinks that she is going to beat him in the game.
Grandma, no disrespect, but, so, how old are you? I mean, like, how old were you when Martin Luther King Jr. had that march in Washington and everything like that?
Now you know I have taught you to never ask a mature woman her age.
Yes, ma'am.
You worry about how old I am. I need to ask you two youngsters. How old are you two about to be?
Now, Grandma, you know I'm going to be 18 years old in a few months.
Me too. And that means that I'm going to be a real adult. I could get my ears pierced or a tattoo on my arm if I want to once I'm 18.
You tried to get a tattoo? You never told me this.
Calm down, man. I'm just saying if I wanted to, then I could. Like, nobody can stop me. You know what I mean?
I mean, whatever, cousin. I'm just saying. You always keep me in the loop, so I know the news before it's news to anyone else. You heard?
No question, but it's not even like that.
So, you two are about to be 18, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the first thing you plan to do when you turn 18? That question is for both of you.
The cousins sit in silence for a few seconds, trying to come up with some impressive words for Grandma's ears. They know when Grandma asks a question in that certain tone, that if you don't get the right answer, you might have to follow the lecture. So, you might have to listen to the lecture that will follow.
I was hoping for an answer today.
The cousins kind of roll their eyes up in their head, but they are sure to not let Grandma see any such thing.
Well, I'm going to start looking for my own place. That way, when we graduate in May, I can try to move out on my own.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
Grandma standing her grandson down, waiting for a better answer.
Johnny, waiting on your answer, son.
Oh, yeah. Nah, Grandma. You know I'm going to be trying to live on campus somewhere. I hope I get a scholarship or two, because like you always taught me, I'm going to be someone real special and important in this world.
Johnny kind of puffed his chest out a bit as he feels he knocked that one out of the park.
That's good, baby. You know what? I haven't heard either one of you mentioning getting yourself registered to vote. Are you planning to do that? I'm asking both of you.
Sure, Grandma. I have plenty of time for that.
Yeah, we got a whole extra year or something before we pick a new president.
Right.
Is that how you plan to use your right to vote? You plan to wait until the next presidential election?
Yes, Grandma. That's what we need to vote for. I get it. We have to put the right leader in office.
Joanne on the sideline, trying to not be noticed in fear that she may be asked a challenging question. Everyone who knows Grandma knows when she is about to fly back her teaching days. She has a certain voice and body movement just before breaking out her lesson plan.
Looks like we're going to have to go over some real important facts. Why don't you both grab one of those cookies over there and sit at the table while I fill you in on a valuable life lesson that you best not forget.
The cousins look at each other as if they're saying to one another, here we go again. But again, they dare not let Grandma see such a thing. They go get their snack, sit down, and wait for Grandma's lesson. Grandma then takes out her old pointer and has a clipboard to which she is about to go to her teaching meeting.
All right now, we are going to first start with some basics. Let's say you felt that there weren't enough classes or any specific classes that catered to Africana studies in your school. You know, there are many great contributions to society by American people of African descent, yet you don't really hear enough about them in the classroom. So let's say this really bothers you, to the point that you decide to say something about it. You see, that's the core of voting right there. It's all about saying something. So you say something, but to who?
Our student council?
They can't make any real changes, Joanne.
Well, actually your cousin is onto something, Johnny. You would first make this concern heard to your student council. You may even have to create a petition to gather enough names that all share the same concern. Once you have your, let's say 100 names, you would then present it to your student council.
And what exactly would they do with this information, Grandma?
Your student council will then raise this concern to the school administration. The administration may carry it to the local school board. Since something like this would require an actual change to the existing curriculum, which often is set by state mandates, this concern may very well make its way to the local ballot. It could be a question on your local elections, or even on the primary elections, which is held every 2 years. This is one of the many ways for voters to make their voices heard. Also, you should know that we get our presidential candidates by first reviewing who's running. This takes place on the primaries. There would be a couple of people who want to run for president, maybe as a Democratic, Republican, or independent. So first they would need to be elected as a preferred candidate. Again, this is a primary election ticket. As a voter, it is important to read up on the possible candidates so that when you go to the primaries, you can make an educated vote. other important issues that may affect the general public. So, you don't just want to wait for the presidential election. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Shucks. When I was your age, I was considered a freedom rider. You see, in the 60s, when I was in college, I had learned that although black folks were finally allowed to vote in the South, certain Jim Crow laws were still being enforced, preventing our people from making their voices heard. We freedom riders would get together, black, white, Latino, Jewish, you name it, and ride to go down south to both challenge not only our people's rights to vote, but it's also challenge the Southerners who cannot let the Jim Crow laws go.
Jim Crow, Grandma. That's where black people had to sit on the back of the bus and had designated water fountains and all of that.
Yes, Johnny. But apparently, people in the South did not adhere to the law which made segregation illegal. So, Nana, what exactly did you do when you rode the buses down there?
Grandma takes a moment, a sigh of sadness, as she remembers how so many were tried for being in jail.
Well, children, that's a whole other conversation that your grandma is not going to tell about. It was hard. Being in jail for riding the bus, ignoring the so-called segregation laws, which really weren't supposed to be enforced anymore. You sit in at restaurants side by side with our white friends and get food thrown at us, get spit on, and smacked around, but we would never retaliate. We remember that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught us about peaceful demonstrations, and that's what we did for years. And eventually, things actually did change, for the better. But it took persistence, determination, and a lot of faith. Our peaceful mode of challenging the system through our marches, our rising protests, brought about change then, and is an effective way to bring about change now. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. really kept us focused on how a collective voice can bring about change. The same holds now. Peaceful protest and making your voices heard will prove to be a very effective way to impact a positive change.
Grandma silenced herself, puts her teaching supplies away, and smiles to herself as she knows that her grandchildren are really paying attention, and she feels confident that they learned something just now.
I had no idea that I should even think about voting for anyone other than the president. I didn't realize that part of the reason that people might complain that there is no good candidate for a president is because not enough people voted in what they call, what do they call it again, Anna?
The primaries.
Right.
Johnny speaks up so he is not looking uninterested to Grandma. Since Johnny always had that one-up on Joanne, he takes it to a whole nother level.
Wow, Grandma. Thanks for that information. Seriously, I didn't realize all of that either. You know what I'm going to do? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some community service myself.
Community service?
You heard what I said, community service. I'm going to share the same lesson with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club.
For what?
Did you learn anything from what Grandma just shared? We probably aren't the only ones who didn't know how important the vote is and how soon we should exercise the right to vote. I mean, between what we already knew about how hard it was to be black in the South, trying to vote and deal with a lot of ignorance, hatred, and bodily harm, and what we have just listened to, we got some knowledge to share, family.
Yeah, you're right, man. So you're gonna hit the Boys and Girls Club. I guess I can do the YMCA, or we can just do them together.
That's cool. We can definitely do this as a team.
You're all making me very proud right now. I think I might just have to rustle up your favorite dessert.
Not the one and only Grandma's famous sweet potato pie.
For real?
I tell you what, you go on and share what you learned from those young ones at the Y and the Boys and Girls Club. Tell Grandma all about it when you're done, and I'll proceed to make the one and only Grandma's special sweet potato pie.
You got it, Grandma.
Are they open now? Shoot. I wish Nana could get to making that pie like tonight.
No, they're not open now, but they'll be open tomorrow on the early side. We can definitely stop through there and set something up with whoever's in charge over there.
Consider it done. I'm gonna go home now so I can get this homework out of the way, and I'll be over here early in the morning so we can get started.
All right, then.
Don't bother to eat breakfast until you get here. I'm proud of you two. Joanne, Nana will have some eggs, grits, and sausage waiting for you.
No problem. All right, I'm out of here. Good evening, all. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
The cousins split up, get a good night's rest, eat at Grandma's in the morning, and proceed to the Boys and Girls Club, NYMCA, to share their knowledge.